Hello everybody. To start this little video off, I thought we'd go out and have a look first at the elevated garden out here. Put this thing down. Talking to myself as I go here. This is my tiny Tim tomato, which still hasn't bloomed, but this one little blossom here is showing some yellow, so maybe later today, I guess. We have had, maybe 10 days of cloud and some rain, not a lot of rain, but some much needed rain. So today is a nice sunshiny day and we're back working in the garden. These are the radishes, and I have been picking those. I'll try to pick one here to thin something out, but I guess this area has been thin, so I'll just pull one. Not huge, but they have been delicious. Nice little radish. I don't know why, but I always sort of critically describe the cheap seeds that you find in grocery stores, just $1 or so a package, and I always get good results from them. These radish are very good. I also bought a package of the mixed colored carrots, and no carrots yet, but they've germinated and are up and growing quite nicely. I'll turn you around here. I won't pull one of these, at least I don't think I will. It's too early. I'm going to be pulling one out in the garden, but these are the white turnips. And they are, as you can see, bulbing up. They're the size right now of I guess you would say, a large radish. And moving around the corner here, that is my Salanova lettuce. I thought I had two, another one behind the plant, the tomato plant, and that turned out to be clover. How a clover seed got in here, I don't know. So one didn't germinate, and I'll get a finger in there to show you. That's still very small, but it is up and growing nicely. Well, let's go out and have a look at some of the other things in the garden. I'm out at the roadside. Tonight is garbage night. I just brought my wheelie bin up before I forget to bring it up with the garbage, but I wanted to show you these. This is a Siberian iris called Caesar's brother. And you might remember me talking about tulips that didn't bloom for years, and all of a sudden, the last 2 or 3 years, they've been blooming again. Well, Caesar's brother does a similar thing. In the past, I dug it up, separated it, put some compost under it, and it would take off and bloom again. And I didn't do that this time, but the Power Commission cut down a lot of trees here because of the hydro wires, and this got more sunlight. And this year it is loaded. I think last year there might have been 4 or 5 blossoms. They're just starting to come out, but as you can see, there are all sorts of buds on it. While I'm here, I'll have to show you this. If you're watching this video, Bernard, I'm going to try your method of propagating azaleas as soon as this finishes blooming. This is the one that I said I thought was called Pink Lights. It's in the Northern Lights series, and they all have lights in the name. I think I lost Pink Lights, and this is the one they call Rosy Lights. Anyway, a beautiful thing. It just keeps getting bigger and blooms every year, and is very fragrant. You can smell it from a long ways away. A very spicy smell, like, to me it reminds me of white carnations, but it carries on the breeze, and you can smell it in a great distance. Anyway, a future video will be me trying to propagate this, to move it around the garden and several other locations. This is my container area. As you can see, the potatoes have all been earthed up to the top of the pots, and they're doing quite nice. They appreciated all the rain that we've had lately. These 2 front totes here, those are from the salmon farming industry around here. Things that they just throw in the water and you find on the beach. They'll try to tell you that they lost it accidentally, but it's strange to me that you never find one that's in any good condition. The ones that you find on the beaches have a big split in the bottom of them. Well, I salvaged these 2, and the split in the bottom works good for drainage. 2 of them have the Romanesco type cauliflower, and one of them has 2 Romanesco type cauliflowers, and the other one is broccoli. Back in here, that is the parthenocarpic variety of summer squash. I can see little blossom buds way down in there, so hopefully in the next few weeks or so we'll see what happens. And that's just the regular kind there, the zucchini. my Richter's order arrived a week or so ago, and I've had the plants out hardening them off, and hopefully I'll get them planted today. This is chamomile, the English chamomile that tea is made from. I'm still not certain if that's perennial or not, but anyway, it's going to be planted in the hoop house, and had one blossom when it arrived and has 4 now. So you save the blossom buds and dry them to make tea. And this variety of chamomile you don't use, it's English chamomile again, but you don't use it as a food. It's just for the aroma. You plant it somewhere where you walk on it, and that gives up the smell of chamomile. And I have 2 goji berries. I tried goji berries from seed a few years ago, and mine died over winter. If you're watching, Darren, out in Alberta, I'd like to know if yours is still alive or not. I sent one to Darren, Savage North Gardens, and his survived at least 1 or 2 winters. I never heard any reports of him getting fruit yet, but I would say these are at least 2 years old. There's a lot of new growth, which is kind of floppy at this point, but there's also a woody growth down in there, so I would think these are probably 2-year-old plants. And in the middle here, I've been trying to get one for a number of years, but this is French tarragon. I had tarragon years ago, and it died out on me, so that'll go in the hoop house as well. These poor little things are my surviving yard-long beans, or asparagus beans. I planted rather heavily in here in the hoop house. I always do, thinking I will lose some. Well, I certainly lost some this time. I haven't been able to find out what's doing it. They don't get cut right off, but they get weakened below the soil and keel over and wilt and die. I think I have 8. There's some either side of this chicken wire trellis here. I've got 8 left, so if they all make it, I'll at least get to try yard-long beans, but that's kind of disappointing. That's an oka melon. As I said, we've had 10 cool days, so they're just starting to grow. They'll appreciate the heat. However, what I want to show you is this one here. Altogether, I have 4 of them, and this one is doing the same thing that the yard-long beans did. And the soil looks a bit roughed up because I dug around it to see if I can find some creature down below that's damaging it, and I can't. It's just wilting. I suspect I'm going to lose that one. There are 4 altogether, many kinds of damage. This one I think was attacked by a slug, but it has 2 new leaves coming on it. And over here is the 4th one. So if I get at least 3, I'll get enough oka melons, I think, for me anyway. But always so disappointing, though, when something, you watch it grow and then something kills it. These are the 3 varieties of beets that I transplanted in here, I don't know, not much more than 2 weeks ago, I think. They were just at the seedling stage, hadn't even grown true leaves. And they really appreciate being in the hoop house. And once again, I tell you, I've used wood ash, and I think that really helps. I don't know why, but there's wood ash in that soil. I was going to plant the area next to this direct sown with more beets, but I have such good luck transplanting them. I think I will start some in flats and transplant them into this bare area behind where the camera is right now. To have them as a succession crop. This is inside the cold frame, which doesn't have the top on it. It's not being used as a cold frame, but I have 4 of these Japanese long, slender eggplants, and they're doing quite well. Really seem to be appreciating the extra heat today. And to the left there is one of the globe basils that I grew them all winter in the house, and I was concerned that when I brought them out here they would bolt and flower, but this thing just does not do that. It's a wonderful variety of basil that never... Last year it didn't start to bloom until well into September, so I've been clipping off of this and using it on a regular basis. This is the rainbow chard seed that Alan Williams in the UK sent me, and it is finally getting up, so I can start harvesting some leaves off of it. Might even have some of it today, I guess. It's a small patch. I moved some of it out into the regular garden outside, and it isn't doing half as well as this. So I guess it prefers a little extra heat. I'll get a hand in there to show you. That's not actually a tree. But they are growing nicely and beautiful leaves, so I'm looking forward to giving it a try, Alan. Well, I've been wanting to show you the crown peas, and finally they're at least in bloom. It seems to me like I had peas long before this other years, but anyway, this is how it's happening this year. Beautiful pink blossoms, and the crown name comes from the fact that all of the blossoms are at the very top of the plant, sort of in a crown type thing there. Anyway, hopefully they'll produce some peas and I'll get these plants out of here soon. I have perpetual chard started in small pots, just barely germinating. I want to put those plants in the area where the peas are as soon as they finish. Look across the hoopos at the center bed there that has peppers and tomatoes in it. The tomatoes have all been staked. I'm only growing one variety that's an indeterminate, but I stake everything because I find that if it develops very much fruit, it falls over anyway if you don't have it tied up. So they have been tied up. So far the only blossoms that have opened are on one of the yellow Mennonite seeds from Halvor in Norway. And I love those tomatoes, so I'm glad to see they're in bloom. I guess it's one of the parthenocarpic variety. They're the one that supposedly every blossom produces a fruit. I can see where that's starting to open as well. I'll take you over and show you some of the peppers. I can't tell on my iPod monitoring this if the color is showing or not, but that is a couple of Jimmy Nardello peppers which have started to ripen. They're quite red. I think they're meant to be much larger than this. You can let me know, Kevin. Kevin sent me the seeds from Ontario. I suspect these first ones are small because they germinated, they germinated a long time ago. They were planted in the house on New Year's Day, and a lot of these peppers got pollinated in the house, so I think the first ones are going to be smaller than the ones that develop later on. Well, I've been picking a few of the alpine strawberries. My plan has been to pick and freeze and make jam. Each plant only ripens a few every day, so I hope to put some in the freezer. Having a problem with that. So far they're not making it all the way to the freezer. That's one day's picking right there. Wouldn't be a cup. They're quite small. What I like about alpines though is when you pick them there's no hulls. The hull stays on the plant, so there's no hulling to do afterwards. Last year they were sweet. This year they are much sweeter, which is probably why they're not making it the whole way to the freezer. But hopefully they continue to produce all summer. I'll get enough frozen that I can make some jam. Well, this is my rain barrel, big plastic thing. I'm not sure, but it's probably, 75 gallons or so, which had a lot of mosquito larvae in it. And I bought 4 goldfish and turned them loose in there. I didn't think they were doing their job, but 3 or 4 days later there's not a single mosquito larvae to be seen. So I guess I have 4 fat goldfish in there. I can't show them to you. You see that down pipe that comes down from the eaves to collect the water in this container? It's only about 3 inches square, and they live up inside of it, coming out obviously occasionally to eat. So hopefully sometime this summer I'll be able to show you my goldfish as they fatten up on mosquito larvae. Well, the no-dig potato patch has had shavings added and is about to need more, I guess. Maybe today or tomorrow I'll add more shavings. I don't want those potatoes down there to burn. All 4 varieties are up and growing quite well now. Some of them are smaller than others. I guess that's because they are a later variety. And down the center, if you see these little plants, these are dwarf sunflowers, a mix of various colors and varieties of dwarf sunflowers. Supposedly nothing taller than 4 feet, ranging from 2 to 4 feet. So I planted a row of those down the center here, which I'm thinking in my mind's eye anyway is going to be beautiful. Shallots and carrots. The carrots down the center are the multicolored ones, coming up and getting their second leaves and looking quite nice. On the left is the French shallot, and on the right is the one that they call a multiplier shallot or a potato onion. And I do see a great difference. The French shallots, I think the most divisions that I've seen so far is some of them have 3. Quite a number of them only have 2. But the multiplier onion or potato onion or multiplier shallot, whatever it is, has many more. There are some with as many as, well, let me count the one that I can see there. There's one that has 10 just down the way there. They're not developed into anything of any size yet, but it's got 10 bulbs started, so they certainly are prolific. I can hardly wait to see what they're like. Maybe they're the ones I will go with in future years. This bed has the purple potted peas at the back, which are doing quite well. And in the foreground there, those are all butter beans, and I'm relieved to see them up and starting to grow. Beans like warm soil. I waited until the soil warmed up, planted them, and then of course we had 10 days of cool weather and quite a bit of rain. But it didn't slow them down any. They're up and growing anyway. First time I've ever grown butter beans, so I'm anxious to try them later in the summer here. This bed has more of the purple potted peas at the background, and it has been planted with 3 different kinds of brassicas. The back row are the caraflex, the early sort of conical shaped cabbage, and then there's a row of 4 red cabbage, and in the very front is 4 cauliflower. All of them have just been in for, I don't know, about a week, I guess, and they seem to be okay. I got to get out with the dye pel today, though. It stopped raining, and I don't want the moths to attack. Something else which has been attacked. I had 3 3 broccoli here in this row. They were from the winter sowing in those plastic bottles, if you saw that video. I didn't notice until this morning that one is considerably smaller than the others, and it's starting to wilt. I dug down around it and I don't find anything that's attacked it, so I don't know if that one will make it or not. The other 2 are still looking very healthy. Now let's harvest a turnip. Well, before I harvest the turnip, I just look down at this bed. Off to the left, the 3 larger plants that you can see there, those were winter sowing also. The first one is a red Savoy type cabbage. The one next to it is a red cabbage, the same ones that you just saw in the other bed, only further along. Under the leaf there is the turnip that I'm about to harvest, and then in the very background of that row to the left is one of the Romanesco type cauliflower. And there are 2 rows, one of white turnips and one of radishes that will be finished before these 4 little things here. These are more of the large cabbage, the red Savoy type like that one is. So the other plants will be out of there before they get big enough to damage anything. Last but not least, to close this little video off this week, I'm going to harvest my first of the Japanese white turnips. Anxious to try this. I plan to eat leaves and all, but that's about the size that they are supposed to be picked at, I think. It's a nice looking little one. When I planted it here, I thought there was only one. I'm quite sure there was only one, but there must have been another seed next to it that hadn't germinated yet, because that's another one coming up there to replace it with. Well, thank you very much for watching. I'll close this down and get it up on the internet for this week's garden update.